Hey there. I wanted to make this video to share a few thoughts with you about flute tone. And this could be a really tough issue. A lot of playing the flute and what it takes to make a good sound. Your mouth and in your body, and it's invisible, and so we can't always see or understand what's going on, and so it can make it really hard to troubleshoot if something's not right. I struggled with my tone forever and ever and ever, and even when I was in high school, and even after that, I went to college. I took lessons in college. I took lessons after college. I took lessons lots of different places. I struggled with my tone. I struggled, and a lot of teachers struggled with knowing how to help me. And so there's a lot of good advice on YouTube already. So I don't want to rehash anything that's already been stated, but I just want to offer a couple of things that have helped me. So maybe if you're struggling and you can't quite pin down what the problem is, maybe some of these things will help you. So the first thing I want to talk about is what's going on with your jaw. And this isn't something that I don't think I've heard from anybody. It's not in a book, it's not in a video. I haven't heard it from a teacher. But what is going on with your jaw? I was having a lot of jaw pain after I practiced a long time, and I realized that I was holding my jaw in a really tense position, and not just like tense, but I was kind of shoving it forward or to the side later. First it was forward, and then it was to the side when I tried to not shove it forward. Once I started to be aware of that and kind of take steps to correct it, it's still, you know how habits are, it's something that you're always fighting. But man, when my jaw is in the right place, I have a really good sound. So if you're not sure kind of where your jaw should be, hold your flute or your head joint up, like, make an embouchure like you're gonna blow, but don't blow. Once you're set up, can you have a normal conversation when you're all set up? Where is your tongue in relation to your mouth? And if you're having trouble tonguing, because maybe you're forcing your jaw too far open, or maybe because your jaw is too far forward, and so your tongue is just not in its normal position, that's something that could be a problem for you. So where is your jaw usually when you speak? And for a long time, I actually didn't know where my jaw was supposed to go. And I think it had just been years of playing the flute. And a teacher told me, you want to make big space like between your back teeth. And so I played with my jaw open as large as possible. And I really hurt myself. So don't do that. But think about the way you feel right before you yawn, not where you're really forcing your mouth open, but just kind of how everything relaxes for just a second, and then your jaw just kind of falls down. And think about where your tongue is when you talk, and say like kitty, 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 or turtle, turtle, turtle. What are some words that have T's and K's, and just things where your tongue is hitting the roof of your mouth. So when you play the flute, just take a second, set up, but then say, can I say those words? And does it feel like my jaw's in a natural position? Because right now mine is a little forward, I can tell. So just kind of take a second, reset, and then try it. Just, try to stay relaxed. And also, if you're tense with your arms or your torso, you might be really kind of shoving into your chin, and then your chin might be shoving back. So just, keep everything kind of just loose. Check your neck, because those muscles in your neck and your jaw are really closely related. Check your neck and make sure just everything is, so maybe even like practice long tones while you're just kind of doing a circle with your head, and just think about sort of the bobblehead dolls that you see. And just stay real loose, drop your shoulders, and just don't let yourself sort of tense any muscles. And so that's one thing, and that was a huge thing for me. The other was kind of working on how I was breathing. And I had a lot of teachers say, you want to breathe down low, breathe into your abdomen, which I was. And then I had another teacher, and I've had a lot of teachers, another teacher say, oh, you're breathing wrong. And I was thinking, I am not. This is the way like everybody says to breathe. she said, you need to breathe up higher into your rib cage. So I did. And not just breathe higher, but just, really think about expanding your rib cage. And not just your rib cage, right? Because you don't want to take just a shallow breath into your chest, but you want to just, as you breathe deeply, you do want to think about your rib cage opening. You don't want to like really force it open because, and I heard that every bone in your body actually moves when you inhale. And so if you're really sort of trying to force it, you're inhibiting how much air you can take in. So, try to stay relaxed, but try to take a good breath, and you want to feel the bottom of your rib cage open, and even use those abdominal muscles to push out. And have you ever heard the term diaphragmatic breathing? Like I hate that term. The diaphragm moves when you breathe, yes, but that's like saying, well, listen with your ears. Well, how else am I supposed to listen? Yes, it moves when you breathe, but really the muscles that you are using when you breathe are your abdominal muscles, and those are the ones you can see and visualize. And just the diaphragm is inside, and you don't have a lot of control over it other than controlling like sort of how big of a breath you take in. And it was when I started really opening my rib cage and just feeling like, even from my collarbone, and of course I'm not forcing anything and I'm not tight and tense, just feeling like I could breathe, and there was space in my rib cage, my collarbone, rib cage, all the way down. And even think about filling my sinuses and forehead with air. That had a really big impact on my sound. There's an exercise where you sort of fold over all the way as much as you can so that your stomach, so your whole front, really your front of your torso, like stomach to your rib cage, is flat against your lap. And then you take several deep breaths in, and you can kind of feel the muscles on either side of the spine expanding. And that means you're doing a good job, because those are the muscles, if you can kind of just figure out where they are, that you want to feel breathing, that you want to feel moving when you're breathing. So take a minute and maybe try that exercise to see if you can figure that out. And then, when you're there and you've got a good breath, and, just use those abdominal muscles to push out against the rib cage and push out against your abdominal wall, and hold that out while you make a sound. Hopefully that will help. And the last thing, and this is kind of vague, but the last thing is posture, I guess. And I've always been someone who's struggled with posture. I have a forward head and tall shoulders, and every effort I've made to stand up tall, I feel like has triggered a headache, or I don't feel like my shoulders were designed to go that way. It was uncomfortable. And so my teacher, Shelley Monier, had been saying to me for years, you really need to see a Feldenkrais practitioner. You really need to see a Feldenkrais practitioner. And I was kind of like, yeah, whatever. That costs money and that costs time, and I don't have that. And I don't, it just seemed like it was too far-fetched to go. But I finally, when I was just in an incredible amount of jaw pain, decided to start seeing her. And I couldn't even eat over Thanksgiving, the day before Thanksgiving, or the morning of, my jaw locked, and it locked shut, and I could not open my mouth. So I had one like teeny tiny bite of turkey that I kind of smashed up, and that's all I could eat all day. And so something had to change. And, I'd been trying to stay relaxed and trying to do all the right things. And so I finally made an appointment with somebody downtown, and I went in, and, I kind of told her what was going on, and I didn't even know where to put my jaw. Like, I don't know how to chew, and I don't know where to talk. And when I'm sleeping at night, I didn't know where to put my jaw. And she watched me do a few things. We laid on the table. She starts tapping. And this is all very weird, and I don't think I would have believed it if I hadn't been there. But, she's like tapping on my body, kind of a little firmer than a typewriter, but not like, not like a chiropractor or a massage therapist. It was very gentle. There are a couple of just really weird things that happen. And one is my right leg is more turned out than my left leg. And it's always been that way. So my right foot is like this and my left foot is like this. And I remember seeing footprints of myself, footprints in the snow where I walked, where, just one foot this way and one foot this way. And just being kind of self-conscious about that, thinking, oh, that's kind of weird. But she goes over and like taps on my hip, like tap, tap, tap. And then my leg just falls open. And so then both of my feet are symmetrical. And that was about a year and a half ago. And they're still symmetrical now after being, like this my whole life. And she's tapping and she's saying, oh, I'm reminding your parts how they work together or something. And I'm thinking, okay, this sounds kind of kooky, but I had started to lose my hearing. And a lot of it is probably related to the jaw pain, which I didn't associate at the time. And some of it is allergies, and some of it is just, being a musician around loud noises. But, she's poking around my neck and poking around. She takes my hand out away from me and starts kind of poking in my fingers and my hand. And all of a sudden, my neck and my ears just start there's like this popping and adjusting, and I feel all these things moving, and then I can hear. And I just been to specialists to get my hearing tested, and they couldn't figure out, there's definitely some hearing loss, but they just couldn't quite figure out where it was coming from. And it was due to the inflammation was compressing my eustachian tubes. So it was all just really crazy. And every time I go back, and I've probably had about 15 visits. So I went once a week. I buy them in increments of 5. So once a week, for the first 5, and then sort of once a month after that, or every 2 months. Every time I go, I just have this mind-blowing experience. She's just tapping on my body, and all of a sudden something clicks into place. And I sort of had this whole checklist in my mind of things that I was doing wrong. I'm tensing my arms, I'm tensing my torso, I'm tensing my jaw. Relax this, stop this, stop this. And I was making a written list of things that I was doing wrong. And believe it or not, the list was 3 pages long, single spaced of just as I did things and wrote them down. But really, it's all related to just 1 or 2 weird things that I was doing that have really come a long way and resolved. I can't say oh, I'm 100% cured, but my posture is 5,000 times better. And I used to get migraines all the time, and I feel so much better. And my sound on the flute, wow, it's been just incredible since that happened. And there's so much about music that is just related to the body. And sometimes, especially with flute, we try to fix this, we try to fix this, we try to fix this. But it wasn't until we fixed, I had tension under my rib cage, I guess, where I was just kind of collapsing in on that. We fixed that, and that kind of caused this cascading effect of, tension on my back and in my shoulders. And once we fixed that, this didn't even matter anymore, because my sound was just rich and full, and it was the sound I always wanted. And it just had to do with kind of how I was aligned inside. Just being aware of those parts and where they should be has made a huge difference. So I hope if any of you are struggling with any aspect of your playing, not just tone, but even technique, that's my recommendation to all of you, to even if you're not having pain or tone issues or technique issues, I just, we learn more about our body and how it works and how we can sort of help our bodies function best. I think we're all going to be a better place, and we'll be able to live happier, more vibrant lives. So where is your jaw? And how are you breathing? And maybe see a Feldenkrais practitioner. So I hope this video is helpful. Those are the big things that have helped me. Let me know if you have any questions. Okay, take care.